Wow. We are looking at a truly historic moment in the tech world today. In this explainer, we are going to deeply analyze the blueprints laid out at the monumental WWDC 2026. This is it, the exact moment Apple finally fully transitioned into a true AI company. But it's also a deeply emotional milestone for the company, marking the beginning of an unprecedented leadership change. We're going to break down exactly how Apple is completely rebuilding its ecosystem from the ground up.
All right, let's dive right into this. 2.5 billion. Just wrap your head around that scale for a second. We are talking about roughly a third of the planet holding a device, whether it's an iPhone, a Mac, an iPad, a watch, or a Vision Pro, that is getting a true AI brain transplant practically overnight. Apple is leveraging this massive, totally unmatched global hardware footprint to inject genuine, context-aware intelligence directly into the hands of billions. Literally nobody else in the world has the base to pull off an AI rollout of this magnitude.
But, to really understand the gravity of what's happening here, we have to look at the emotional core of this narrative, because this is Tim Cook's final bow. Over his 15-year run since taking the reins from Steve Jobs, Cook has grown Apple's market cap from roughly $349 billion to nearly $4 trillion. That's astronomical. And before officially handing the CEO reins over to John Ternus on September 1st, Cook has been actively, almost obsessively involved in perfecting every single detail of this new AI rollout. Make no mistake, this is his final masterpiece.
Okay, let's get into part one, the brain, and Apple's hybrid intelligence. How are they actually making this masterpiece a reality? Well, they had to completely rethink their underlying tech, and they did it by dropping a massive shocker, partnering with their biggest rival, Google. Here's how it breaks down. Apple built this brilliant hybrid intelligence architecture. On one side, you have the standard on-device model. This sits right there in your phone or laptop, handling all those high-frequency, super private daily tasks with zero latency, instantly. But for complex reasoning that needs serious juice, the system dynamically routes your request to Apple's private cloud and their advanced models. And those are backed by the immense 1.2 trillion parameter power of Google's Gemini model. It is genuinely the perfect balance of localized privacy and raw cloud computing power. So the crucial point here is how all of this traffic is managed. Apple introduced this system scheduler, which basically acts as the brain's air traffic controller using three core workflows. First, there's Spotlight semantic indexing. It doesn't just find words, it actually understands what your content means, so you can literally search for a feeling or vague memory from years ago. Second is the App Action Box, which grabs tools from entirely different apps to complete a task, meaning you don't even have to switch screens. And finally, Screen Awareness. The AI literally sees and understands exactly what is on your screen right now, so it can jump in and help you at the perfect moment.
Moving on to part two, the Voice Siri 2.0's total rebirth. So we've got this incredibly powerful new brain, right? Now it needs a new voice. For years, let's be honest, we've all kind of joked about Siri's limitations. Well, no more. Siri has completely shed that artificial idiot reputation and evolved into a highly capable agent. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. Let's look at a real-world scenario they showcased. Say you show Siri a photo of a coastline and ask, "Hey, where is this?" With its new visual intelligence, Siri instantly identifies it as Natural Bridges State Beach. Then you follow up with, "My friend Jeff recently moved near here. Where is his new house?" Siri goes to work in the background doing a semantic search, finds a single text from Jeff with his new address, and pinpoints it. Finally, you tell Siri to map a route to the beach, but with a stop at Jeff's place. Siri seamlessly bridges your photos, messages, and Maps apps to generate that exact route, all in one breath.
The zero-touch capabilities here are just mind-blowing. You can casually ask Siri about a Suki Waterhouse concert in San Francisco, and it'll give you the dates, buy the tickets, and start playing her new single, just as part of a natural conversation. Or tell it to dig up photos from last weekend at Mount Shasta, but only the ones with Bryce, Madison, and Quinn, and toss them into a shared family album. Boom! It handles the facial recognition and sorting instantly in the background. It can even comb through your messy chat history to find that coconut cookie recipe your daughter texted you weeks ago, just so you can bake them for the Brazil versus Morocco watch party. It's doing all of this heavy lifting entirely through conversational voice commands.
Next up, part three, the nervous system, OS 27, and seamless AI. Now, Apple Intelligence isn't just a voice assistant. It's honestly the new nervous system bleeding invisibly into every single corner of the ecosystem. And that starts with the massive OS 27 update. Craig Federighi made a great point that the best operating systems rely on sweating the details. And you absolutely see that in OS 27's design language. They've heavily refined the liquid glass rendering from last year. Look at this. There's now a dedicated slider right on the screen. It lets you customize that liquid glass effect from ultra clear to fully tinted, so you can adapt it perfectly to different app environments and totally cut down on visual clutter.
Underneath the hood, though, the optimizations are just massive. We are talking about app launches speeding up by as much as 30%, and AirDrop getting up to 80% faster. For Mac users, we're getting Mac OS Golden Gate, which brings in these gorgeous edge-to-edge sidebars and beautifully rendered 3D liquid glass app icons. But here is the craziest part. Apple optimized the CPU scheduler so incredibly well that these huge performance boosts actually reach all the way back to older models like the iPhone 11.
Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is how Siri completely transforms productivity on the Mac. Let's say you're building a makerspace out back, and you ask Spotlight how to build a shed. It seamlessly transitions right into Siri. You've got 3 quotes from different vendors sitting in your inbox. You just ask Siri to compare them, and it instantly generates the super clean 3-column table. Then, you suddenly remember an electrical issue your son Luke mentioned a while back. Siri checks your past emails, finds Luke's exact complaint, even if the poor kid misspelled half the words, recommends a specific vendor that solves that exact electrical problem, and then auto-drafts the final email to them. I mean, that is true integrated productivity.
And then there are these updates, which I like to call the silent killer features. Take Safari. It now has a Notify Me function. If you're desperately waiting for concert tickets on a sold-out page, Safari actively monitors that page invisibly in the background and pings you the exact second things change. Then there's the new Passwords app, which is now agentic. This means it can autonomously navigate out to websites and proactively upgrade your weak passwords for you. You literally just click once. And in the Photos app, they are actually borrowing tech from the Vision Pro for spatial reframing, meaning you can adjust the camera angle and recrop an image after you've already taken the photo. No way, right?
Which brings us to part 4, the engine room, developer dream factory.
Of course, none of this works without the people who actually build the apps, the developers. And Apple is completely revolutionizing how applications are built by leaning hard into what they call agentic coding. Thanks to upgraded foundation models, developers aren't just sitting there typing out raw code anymore. They're working alongside intelligent systems that can take plain, natural language, or even images as inputs and use them to help create, debug, and localize whole applications instantly. And here's the absolute deepest secret of the entire event. Hidden right inside Xcode, Apple's premier developer tool. Apple has essentially given Google's Gemini a dedicated desk right inside Xcode. Developers can now actually choose their preferred AI model, including Gemini, to assist them as they code. Plus, Xcode now deeply integrates with Figma and GitHub and brings in a new unified device hub where you can simulate complex multi-touch gestures across all virtual devices. They're making app creation incredibly intuitive and, let's be honest, kind of sexy again.
Finally, Part 5. Apple's Best Era. A Farewell.
As we look at how this historic keynote closed out, it wasn't with a flashy new product. It was a deeply personal, reflective moment. Tim Cook actually skipped the famous Apple catchphrase, "one more thing." Instead, he just took a breath to reflect. He called leading Apple for the last 15 years the honor of a lifetime. He expressed profound gratitude to the developers and the team and made it very clear that he believes Apple's absolute best era is still lying ahead of them.
And as a final, really human touch before his departure, Cook prioritized one specific area of trust and safety in OS 27, giving power back to parents. They expanded parental controls way beyond just basic app management into total web oversight. They introduced Ask to Browse for new unknown websites, and they've enabled Ask to Buy by default for children under 13. It is just a fittingly human-centric update to cap off an incredible tenure.
Let's move to our final thought here. Tim Cook is leaving Apple not just at the absolute height of its financial power, again nearing a $4 trillion valuation, but he is handing over a company that has just successfully completed a total structural pivot into the AI era. The foundation is poured, the walls are up. So the ultimate question we are left to ponder is this: with this massive, highly intelligent ecosystem now fully in place, what exactly is John Ternus going to build next?